Well, welcome to Solution on Wheels. Today we'll have a special interview with Andrew Webb. Very nice to meet you.
Thanks for having me on the show.
And congratulations on launching a new platform.
Okay.
This is launched last week?
Just on Friday.
Yeah, this is the Harbour Times, which is launched on May 10th. It is quite an expensive paper, I would say.
Production values are quite high, yeah.
It's 16 pages and it's 50 Hong Kong dollars.
Yes.
And it's mostly in English.
Mostly, yeah. On the website, everything that's in English in this will be in Chinese on the website, and everything that's in Chinese here will be in English on the website.
So it's not even a weekly.
We're starting fortnightly.
Fortnightly.
And by September, we're hoping to expand it to go weekly.
Okay.
So.
I think two headlines really attracts me.
Okay.
The first one is right next to Harbour Times, Gongbo, Inside Hong Kong Politics, Government, and International Affairs.
Yes.
All right, so it means inside the government.
Yep, absolutely.
But also outside of the whole world.
Yeah, outside of Hong Kong.
Politics. Yeah. Okay, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Because I want to know how you are actually going to do it.
Okay.
Yeah, because even the very traditional brands like IHT, like Financial Times, is trying to do that.
Yes.
And they are struggling in this age of internet.
Yeah.
And then why Harbour Times? You said a new politics needs a new platform.
Yeah.
Why don't we start with that? And then we go back to how can we go inside and out of local and international politics.
All right.
What do you mean by new politics?
Well, what we're saying is, Hong Kong has gotten to a point in its evolution since the handover. Prior to the handover, there was a very small group of people that ran this city, right? Since the handover, Hong Kong people have become more engaged. They want to be part of the political scene. They want to have their voices heard. Before the handover, if you didn't like it, you left. Since then, Hong Kongers want to be the masters in their own house. And so more people are getting engaged in politics, but a lot of them are new to it. Even people who've been in it for a long time, it's a new way of doing things. A great example, sometimes I talk to people and they're like, I already know everybody in politics. I'm like, really? Who put 100,000 people in front of LegCo to protest national education? I don't know those guys. See, these are new people coming into the game. I think also Hong Kong is starting to professionalize a little bit more. As government expands and gets into more and more of our lives, companies and NGOs are starting to say, we can't just go about our business as usual. We have to become engaged with politics. We have to understand the community-government relationship. And they're starting to hire people. They're starting to hire professionals that are going to have to handle that. And a lot of them are new to the game. And so we're saying, don't think about politics as just getting what you want. Or if your political party is conducting warfare, we're saying, think about it as a profession. Think about it as a craft. And so hopefully with this paper, we're going to help to deliver that message and develop politics as an honorable profession.
But how does this political mechanism is new from the old days? Because from what I've heard just now, it's kind of like increased political participation from various stakeholders.
Yeah.
So you mean the increased participation actually have qualitative change, not only quantitative change? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, there's qualitative change in that if there's qualitative change, you look at something like LegCo. LegCo is a much more activist body than it was before the handover. Things like the filibusters and where LegCo wants to try and have an impact on legislation or block legislation, I think they're much more activist than they were before. Quantitative in that more and more people are coming into it. The number of people that are involved in protests or that are involved in local community groups. Sometimes it's Hong Kong-wide issues like national education or air pollution. And sometimes it's really local, very micro. We don't want to see this road going through our neighborhood. Don't put a columbarium over here, right? So things can be really broad in Hong Kong, or they can be really niche, but whichever way, it's more and more people.
Okay. If this is the setting that you have given me, because I was in this venture of promoting solution journalism, then I have to pose a question to you and see why Harbour Times is the solution for this type of new politics. Why? Because you're still using very traditional means. It's paper, plus the internet, and the internet version, as far as I can tell, is based on the paper version.
To start, yeah.
Well, why do you believe Harbour Times is the solution for the new political world?
Okay, that's a great question. One of the things you see in places that have more developed democracies is the people in the political sphere, they think about it, like I said, as a profession, and that's how we're approaching this. This is not going to be a publication for the masses, for mass media. It's for those people who need to understand things in a really detailed way. We're going to look at things in a way the mass media is not going to be interested in. We're going to say what exactly is happening in this committee on this day. When the piece of legislation goes to its second reading, who's going to try to block it, who's going to try to stop it. People are interested if a law is going to get passed or not, but the nitty-gritty, it's not so much their thing because it's not their full-time job. Right now you have people that are trying to do it as their full-time job, and they're finding that getting information from informal channels helps. They get a little bit from the mass media, but it's not at the same level of detail that they need to do a job. Now, every profession has their own super detailed publications and events, which we plan to do later, and then business intelligence. Right? Those are publications, events, business intelligence. We're going to do all three, like a normal trade media company that serves an industry. So people in Hong Kong are starting to think about politics as an industry. Like, for example, in other places you have a lobbyist association. There's no such thing here. Not yet. There's a lobbyist registry. We don't have one here.
So you're telling me Harbour Times is a trade magazine?
Exactly. Trade publication, not mass media.
For the political trade?
For the political trade.
All right. So what sort of business model do you base Harbour Times on?
In the sense that it's very much like a trade media business model. So you have, like I said, the three pillars are publication, events, business intelligence. You can also generate other revenue from other ancillary services, little bits and pieces, a little consulting here and there.
Yeah, but in terms of styles, you base anything from the States or from the UK?
There are other publications like this in places like Washington, D.C. You have The Hill.
Of course.
And Roll Call, very political in the United States.
Of course.
In Ottawa, in Canada, you have The Hill Times. They have one called Embassy, which is like, we've modeled Diplomat after that, focused on the diplomatic community. So there are examples of this that are, been in existence for over 20 years in other parts of the world.
All right. So this solution have one more problem, as far as I can see.
Okay.
Because in the places you have mentioned, they have party politics.
Absolutely.
And the party gather the resources so that they can train professionals professionally.
Yes, absolutely. And
but in Hong Kong, I don't really think we have party politics per se. I mean, even if we try to, so-called the government, try to promote party politics, we're still at a very, very, I won't say even infant stage, but at an embryo stage.
Well, it's always good to get in on the ground floor. With any kind of a market, you don't want to be the 10th person in the market 20 years after it's matured.
Yeah.
So we're looking at this, and like for example, I was involved in the founding of a think tank 10 years ago. Now, when I started that with two of my partners, we would go around and talk to people. We'd say, we're starting a think tank. Everyone would say, that's great. What's a think tank? Educated, worldly people involved in politics, they had never heard of a think tank. Then you said, well, what about this one in the U.S.? This one in Canada? Oh, the Frasers, I've heard of that. But it wasn't a known concept in Hong Kong. But 10 years later, right, they're all over the landscape. Different structures, different styles, different focus. But people know what a think tank is, and they're starting to play a role in political debate. At that time, my partners and I could see what was coming in that area, and we wanted to spearhead it. And that organization's still going strong, and it's a little bit like this. We think now is the time to start this discussion and to say to people, politics doesn't just have to be warfare by other means, right? Politics can be a profession. And if people think about it like that and take pride in how they practice it, not just getting what they want, but pride, we can get better solutions for Hong Kong.
Okay, so you say politics is not warfare, which means this does not hold in the battleground. But if you say politics is a trade, you mean actually politics is in the marketplace.
Yeah.
Is the marketplace working?
Absolutely. The marketplace of ideas.
I mean, if you look at what happened recently, I mean, you have the sellers and you have the buyers, and they're not talking. And,
I agree. There's definitely a lot of people.
How would you describe the political market, per se?
I would say that it's missing something. A lot of people are very frustrated with the level of discourse. All they have is the mass media to speak to each other. When they do that, it's mostly button pushing and trying to move the masses with whatever will kind of get them all juiced up on that particular day. It's about making people angry, getting them out to protest, but there's nowhere for them to have a serious discussion. A platform for them to say, here are my ideas. I'm going to float a trial balloon. I'm not going to go out and give you a slogan. I'm going to give you 1,600 words with evidence and backing up my points with detailed logic, and I want to have a conversation. And so we think that's the piece that's missing because we see it in other places playing a function, so we want to provide it here. Are we the only solution? Probably not. But I think we're going to be a big part of the solution.
Okay, so what you mean is that people are going for weekend sales?
Yeah. In the mass media, if it bleeds, it leads. Which means the mass media is all about trying to tear people down.
Yeah.
Trade media is...
So they're doing garage sales?
Yeah, they want to see
selling broken goods.
Yeah, they love it. They love it, and it works for them. But what we want to do is, with trade media, you want to build a community.
Yeah.
So, okay, when you're on the campaign trail, when you're in the mass media, when you're in LegCo, you beat up on each other. That's the game, right? It's more like sports. But you also have to be able to sit down and work to find good solutions for Hong Kong that everybody can finally agree on. They don't have to like them, but as long as everyone can go, this is acceptable, so we can move forward.
So are you an optimist?
I am an optimist, yes.
So you believe in the politicians in this city will go for more premium products?
Yeah, I think so. But I think that will only happen if the people of Hong Kong push them to it. And I think the politicians right now, they're getting a little tired of just hammering away on each other all the time. And I believe that these are people who genuinely want to do good. And if they can find a way to be more productive, to come to better solutions, they'll take it.
All right.
Right?
Okay. But how would you categorize your style of journalism?
It's going to take us a while to find our voice. When we started talking to people, they said, what's your editorial voice going to be? And we said, we're trying to be platform neutral. We want everybody to be able to come under this umbrella. And they're like, you got to have an editorial voice. So we said that our voice for us is going to be elevating political discourse. We want to raise that level of political discussion. So
it's not pro-establishment or the pro-democrats per se.
One of the things that we've been talking to people and getting input, and a lot of people are saying that what they would like to see is a discussion about redefining the axis on which we discuss politics in Hong Kong. If you talk to people from the United States, they tend to have this real left-right mentality. And you get to Hong Kong, and sometimes it's the pro-Beijing, whether you call it anti, whether you call it democracy, whatever you call it, it's a different spectrum. But we're saying that maybe there can be other ways of thinking about how we define politics, right? I tend to come from a background where I think of more government control versus less government control. That's a third way, and there's probably another 10 that we could explore over the course of developing these ideas.
Yeah. I think on that note, actually, we are trying to find new ways to define the current situation.
Yes.
And I would call myself a practitioner of solution journalism because I compare solutions.
Right.
And I don't know whether there will be a solution in LegCo, but I believe together, with everyone trying to chip in something, we will have a solution. And I think that's the essence of basically democracy, because you don't want democracy for warfare. You want democracy for solutions.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the whole point.
That's the whole point. I mean, you want to solve something. I mean, you don't want to get into the thing and then without resolving it. I don't believe that. I believe people somehow wants to resolve and move on and go for a better solution or a better place.
Yeah,
that's my view. But with one newspaper, just like with one truck or with one moving studio, how do you gain the confidence that you can do that?
Well, it's kind of interesting that this that you guys started up right about the same time that we started up, and we just met about a week ago, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And we talk about it in our lead article in Harbour Times that we say that you look at the Democratic movement, for example, that the Democrats seem to have gotten their act together with the AETD, Alliance for True Democracy, at the same time as Anson Chan is getting her Hong Kong 2020 going, and Occupy Central. And we raise the issue in the article: is this an accident? Okay, they're the fact that they all have different roles to play, they have different strengths and weaknesses, but you put it together and it starts to look like it could have some beneficial impact in the political sphere. Is it an accident, or is there some grand master behind it? I don't know. But like us in media, maybe the media is starting to say, we have a role to play and we have to do better. And you guys are taking it to the streets. We're taking it to the practitioners. Maybe this is a sign that something's going on in Hong Kong, that Hong Kong's ready for the next big shift.
Yeah, it's so-called paradigm shift.
Yeah. I think it'd be a good one.
Yeah. Well, any advice for us then?
For you guys, I love what you guys are doing. You're taking it to the street. You know, completely different from what we're doing, but it's fantastic. With the windows open here, people in Causeway Bay are walking by, getting a little wave, and hopefully they're going to come over and ask questions. They're going to check out the website, and you guys are going to help to deliver that message. I think you're doing a great job.
Yeah. One final question.
Sure.
Do you think the traditional paper media and online media works together, or they work opposite with each other?
I think they can work. I think that, of course, it's a moving target. And a lot of the very successful media groups, some of them have made the transition. And what they found was that they had a strong enough base in the paper, was still making money, but they had enough time to kind of spend some money here, spend some money there. And online was kind of working. And then mobile came along. And that's really started to work for a lot of them, a lot of the big heavies. I think that there is going to be a place for niche. Like I know people talk about press media, print mass media shrinking. Trade media is growing very quickly around the world in all different sectors.
What's your plan then?
Our plan, like
if you can tell.
The three pillars. No, it's very transparent. So the publications, we launched with the co-publications. If you mind if I give it a little demo there. We got Harbour Times. Inside you'll find the sister publication, Diplomat. We intend to expand to events in the fall, and we're going to be having business intelligence products for our subscribers.
So it's not really an online model then. It's really a real-world model. You have printed, published materials.
Absolutely.
You have actual events on the ground, not virtual event.
Yeah.
So it's basically a real-world model.
It's a real-world model, but the real world and the online world are pretty much like this now. I know Google's trying to bring us the cyborg world.
Yeah.
That's the next one with the Google Glass. 10 years from now, that might affect our business model. But for now...
But for that I agree. I think there have been too much talks about the virtual world, and promises, I think, is quite virtual right now.
Yeah.
So I think people are trying to get back to the street and actually work on something.
Yeah.
And I think that's the new trend, that's the new paradigm. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think we try to grab them and see this real person, not fake identity online.
Yeah.
And see what they can do and change the city for the better.
Absolutely, because that's what it's all about. We're going to make Hong Kong a better place. And
good luck.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me on the show.
All right, thank you very much, Andrew. See you next time.
All right,
maybe in your commercial trade event then.
Hey, maybe. I'd be up for that.
Bye.
Thanks. Cheers.